I'm running two cameras here, so I've got to start one, so there's a pause for the other. Good afternoon, and welcome to Thornley Bank Parish Church's Wednesday Word. And we're working through Mark's Gospel just now. We're just coming to the end of chapter 1. Let me read the closing verses of chapter 1 of Mark, from verse 16 to 28. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him, and when they found him, they exclaimed, "Everyone is looking for you." Jesus replied, "Let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. This is why I have come." So he travelled throughout Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. A man with leprosy came to him and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus was indignant. He reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said, "be clean." Immediately the leprosy had left him and he was cleansed. Jesus sent him away at once, but with a strong warning. "See that you don't tell this to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer the sacrifice that Moses commanded for your cleansing, and as a testimony to them." Instead, the man went out and began to talk freely, spreading the news. As a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but he stayed outside in lonely places. Yet, people still came to him from everywhere. Amen. What do we make of this? As we come to the end of Mark chapter 1, so much has happened. Jesus has been baptized. He's then taken into the wilderness for 40 days and nights to be tempted by the devil, all as part of his preparation for his ministry. Then he's called the first disciples, Simon Peter and his brother Andrew, and James and John, and they're now following him. And John's Gospel says that Philip and Nathanael had been called as well. So, maybe Mark didn't have that information. But Jesus has formed his team, his disciples. Jesus has taught in synagogues and healed people. He's driven out demons from people, and he's healed Andrew's mother-in-law. We heard that last week. So with all that Jesus has been through, it's little wonder that he needed to rest. Remember, Jesus got up, left the house where Andrew's mother-in-law was, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Jesus went off to a solitary place by himself, which demonstrates a good pattern for any ministry. Activity working for God, and then a time of rest and prayer to be with God. That's a balanced faith life, working for God and being with God. However, poor Jesus, while he was trying to establish a good work, worship, rest pattern, it really worked out for him. On this occasion, it was his disciples that came and interrupted him. "We've been looking for you. Where are you? There's people here to be seen." Mark tells us the disciples went looking for Jesus, and when they found him, they told him that everyone was looking for him. Other examples of this happening include Jesus' feeding of the 5,000, as told in the Gospels of Matthew and John. Jesus went to the other side of the lake to get away, and all the people walked round the lake just to be with him. Poor Jesus never got a moment's peace. Isn't it interesting? The Prince of Peace hardly got any peace for himself. You know, Jesus' ministry was 3.5 years long. And read through the 4 Gospels. There's very few times when Jesus gets away, where he just gets that space, that day off, to recharge his batteries, that day off. The only time I can remember Jesus really getting peace was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and that was the very time he wanted people to stay watch with him. Couldn't have been easy. You know, while Jesus was preaching to these people who were waiting to see him, dying to see Jesus, where's Jesus? A leper came to see Jesus. A leper walked up to Jesus and begged him, if you're willing, you can make me clean. And Mark records that Jesus was indignant. Indignant. Possibly Jesus is thinking, why does this man think I would withhold healing? If I am willing, why wouldn't I be willing to heal a man? It's why I came. So Jesus touched the man, and the man was cleansed. You know, there's a motif of Mark's Gospel. That's something that repeats. A motif is like something you can recognise Mark's Gospel by. You know, something that always seems to occur. A motif. And there's a motif in Mark's Gospel in that when Jesus heals people, he instructs them not to tell anyone. Jesus didn't want his extraordinary power to become widely known for a couple of reasons. He didn't want to become some circus show. People coming, I wonder what he's going to do next. Let's go and see this guy. He didn't want to become that. He wasn't an entertainer. And he knew that if he became that well known, that famous, he wouldn't be able to find lodgings in towns that he visited. Jesus tells the man the only person to show himself to is the priest and make a sacrifice in acknowledgement of his healing. Of course, the cleansed man is so pleased with his healing that he wants to tell everyone. Told everyone he could, and news of the leper's healing spread like wildfire. This had the effect that Jesus had tried to avoid. Jesus could no longer stay in villages and towns. He had to stay in the country. Now, please don't think I'm making any comparison, because I am not. But it's an interesting fact that back in the 60s, the Beatles played a series of concerts in Dundee, Edinburgh and Glasgow in 1964 and 65. They played Dundee, Edinburgh and Glasgow. And do you know where they stayed? They stayed in the St Fillan's Hotel on Lough Erne and simply travelled to the concerts from St Fillan's in Deepest Perthshire on Lough Erne. And they did that because they couldn't possibly stay in a city. They'd be besieged. Well, Jesus is much more than just any pop star. So, as I said, I'm not making the comparison. But I'm using the example of you become so famous, so well known, you can't get peace. And it destroys your life. It can destroy your life. And this is what happened to poor Jesus. Not only did he not get peace, he had to stay outside cities, outside towns, villages. He had to stay in the wilderness. This made no difference though. People still found Jesus. They still sought the teacher for teaching and healing. And that's the end of chapter 1. Next week, we'll see where this takes us. Swithering, do we continue with this Bible study? Or do we go on to more like I did before, a thought for the day, a thought for the week? So I'll be praying to ask God for guidance on that one. But next Wednesday I'll be here anyway, so be great to see you. God bless. See you soon. Bye.